Buenos dias, tardes, noches, or whatever else time it is for you guys. Welcome to our first virtual lesson of the year for Spanish 2 Honors. As you guys know, I love to start every class with a fun Spanish tune, and that's not going to stop in our virtual lessons. Today we're going to be talking about the conjugation of regular present tense verbs. So let's go ahead and get started with some review. What did we learn last week? We learned about subjects, specifically subject pronouns, which are things like he, she, we, they, I, as well as our 3 different verb types. I want you guys to go ahead and pause the video and see if you can remember our Spanish subject pronouns using our handy dandy table, as well as the 3 verb types. So go ahead and pause, and I'll see you guys in a second. Welcome back. Hopefully that didn't take you guys too long. Let's go ahead and see what you remember. Our Spanish subject pronouns are going to be yo, nosotros, tú, vosotros, él, ella, usted, and ellos, ellas, ustedes. It is important to remember that vosotros, not so much used anywhere else other than Spain, but for the purposes of this class, I think it's important you guys still know how to conjugate using vosotros, so we're going to include it. It is also important to remember that in English, we don't really have this formality of formal and informal, but it's very important that we understand it in Spanish so that we can properly address those we're talking to. What are our 3 verb types? You guys should have gotten AR, ER, and IR. All right, let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes. How do we conjugate verbs? The first thing we have to ask ourselves is, what do we need? What are the components that we need to be able to successfully conjugate verbs? And those 2 things are our subject and our verb type. You might be thinking to yourself, Profe, I know what those are. We just learned about those. Well, just maybe we did that on purpose. I guess you guys will never know. So our first step into conjugating verbs. Let's give some examples, an AR verb, an ER verb, and an IR verb, hablar, comer, and escribir. The first step is to drop those endings. We're going to take them as infinitive verbs, which they are here, and get rid of the AR, ER, and IR, reducing them to what we call the root. These roots have the lexical meaning of what the verbs are, what they mean. And for the purposes of conjugation, I'm going to be referring to these chunks of the verb a lot. So it's important that you guys remember them as the root. The root of the verb being the chunk of the verb just without the AR or the ER or the IR, depending on which verb it is. So then what is step 2, you might ask? Well, we're going to add the appropriate ending. You might be thinking to yourself, Profe, we just got rid of the ending. Are we going to add a whole new ending? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to add another ending. It is important to know that we have the 3 different types of verbs and establish that we have those, because with each type of verb comes a new set of endings for the conjugation. You're going to see here what I mean in a second, starting with AR verbs. So let's go ahead and get our handy dandy table ready. And our first person endings are going to be as follows. For yo, the ending is going to be o. For nosotros, our ending is amos. For tú, our ending is as. And for vosotros, our ending is ais. In third person, the ending for él, ella, usted is always going to be a for AR verbs in the present tense. And to make it plural in ellos, ellas, ustedes, all you got to do is add that n, and your ending is an. So let's go ahead and see this in the context of actual conjugation. So if you take the infinitive hablar and conjugate it for the yo form, you take the root, which is habl, plus the ending for yo, which is o, and you get hablo. For tú, you're going to take the root of montar, which is, or for montar, you're going to take the root of it, which is mont. Add the appropriate ending for tú, which is as, you get montas. Él, ella, usted, you take nadar, you take the root, which is nad, add the ending for él, ella, or usted, which is a, and you get nada. I know nada means nothing, but you'll be able to tell the difference between nada meaning nothing and nada meaning he, she, you swim, because you're going to be able to tell whether or not it's a verb in the sentence. So moving on, nosotros, you take the root of de, which is, or of dejar, which is de, you add amos, and you get dejamos. Vosotros, this one is tricky to pronounce. Make sure you add the correct stress based on that accent mark. You're going to take the root, which is cocin, add ice, and you get cocinais. Cocinais. The stress is on that syllable with that accent. Nice. And finally, you've got ellos, ellas, ustedes. Take the root of llevar in this example, which is llev, add an for the ending, and you get llevan. So, moving on to ER verbs. And of course, if you guys need to take more time to write anything down, feel free to pause, rewind, anything you need to do to help yourself write stuff down. That's what's great about having a video. You can just rewind. For ER verbs, let's go ahead and get our handy dandy table ready, and let's get started with our ER endings. For yo, still gonna be o. For nosotros, our ending is hemos. For tú, our ending is es. For vosotros, it's pronounced very similarly. It is es. And that's why that accent is so important, because that's how you're going to be able to tell by the pronunciation whether it's in the tú form or the vosotros form. So let's keep that in mind. For él, ella, usted, it is going to be e, and for ellos, ellas, ustedes, it's going to be en. All right, let's see these in the context of conjugation. Yo, for comer, you take the root there, which is com. Again, just drop that er, and you add the new ending for yo, which is o, so you get como. Tú, for beber, you take the root beb, add the ending es, and you get bebes. El, ella, usted, for correr, is going to be corre, corre. Nosotros, you take deber, deber, you take the root, add the ending, and you get debemos. For vosotros, this is what I was talking about a minute ago. You want to be able to distinguish between tú and vosotros because they sound very similar, and that's where the stress comes in. You take the root of comprender, which is comprend. You add EIS with an accent, es, you get comprendes. Not comprendes, which would be the tú conjugation, but it's comprendes. Comprendes. Make sure you really accentuate that stress. And finally, for ellos, ellas, ustedes, you get the root of the given verb, which is aprender. You take aprend, add en, and you get aprenden. Aprende. I want you guys actually to go ahead and pause the video now and take a look at our endings for AR and ER verbs and try to figure out the patterns here, the similarities you can see. Go ahead and pause, and I'll see you guys in a second. So what patterns did you guys notice? Well, for starters, in the yo form, they're the exact same. It's just an o. And that is true. AR and ER verbs, all you need is an o for the yo. And for the rest of the endings, the only difference between the AR endings and the ER endings is the first letter, that vowel. If you replace the E in any of these endings with an A, you get the AR endings. It is that simple, guys. It is that simple. So I want you guys to go ahead and take those patterns and apply them to our handy-dandy table in IR. I want you guys to pause the video again and see if you can try to guess what the endings for IR are going to be based on the patterns we've already seen. So go ahead and pause, and I'll see you guys in a second. All right, let's see what we've got. For first person, the ending for IR, just like AR and ER, for yo, it is just an O. Just an O. For nosotros, you take the I and you get imos. Nosotros, imos. That is our ending. Now let's take a look at tú. What do you guys think? Is this what you had? No? I did trick you. I apologize. But I think finding those patterns is super, super important. So I'm glad you guys did that. I think that's really important for learning. But I did trick you. I'm going to go ahead and give you the rest of the endings here. And I want you guys to see something here. Take a look at these four that I've kind of highlighted with this boot. And I'm going to be referring to it as the boot. So go ahead and try to remember it as that. What do you guys notice about these four in the boot here? Well, they're the exact same as the ER endings. IR and ER are the same in these four areas of our handy-dandy table of these four types of conjugation. Of course, going to nosotros and vosotros, they follow the patterns more with the other two we've seen with the I of IR. But these other four, in the present tense, ER and IR are very similarly conjugated. And that is very important to note, and that's why this boot is here. So I want you guys actually in your notes to go ahead and draw the boot. It'll help you remember as the pneumatic device. So let's go ahead and see these IR conjugations in context. I'm going to go ahead and give you all of them. Hopefully I don't need to go through all of them with you guys. All you're doing is taking that, of course, that root of the verbs, and you're going ahead and adding those endings. So if you guys need to pause here to get these jotted down or to practice, go ahead, do that. But for the rest, for the purposes of recording and getting this video out to you guys, I'm going to go ahead and move on to a little bit of practice. Whoop, there we go. So let's go ahead and try some of these conjugations. I want you guys to take these examples and go ahead and conjugate them for the correct form. Go ahead, use your notes, use all the resources you have. Use the rest of the video if it helps, and I'll see you guys in just a sec. My bad. Welcome back, guys. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys these answers and check your work. I'm not going to go through all of them with you again, just for the purposes of getting this out to you guys as quick as possible. But here are the answers I'm looking for. Hopefully these are the answers you guys had. And if you have any that you got wrong, circle them. Maybe figure out what you did wrong. And if you're having some trouble, if you're getting stumped, please bring questions to class. That's what class is for. That's why the lessons are being given to you virtually. Other than that, that's all I have for you guys. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to ask, shoot me an email, or talk to me in class. Otherwise, thanks for an awesome lesson today, guys, and I will see you in class tomorrow. Have a great one.